Hello, my soul brothers and soul sisters. I am Ron Smith, and this is the Dr. Ron Smith Investigate Show, where we separate the real from fake, the fact from fiction, and give you the winner's edge. And sometimes we're able to turn your water into wine. We are in season 3, and this is episode number 8. And today we're going to be talking about scams, different types of scams. And at the end, we're going to talk about how we can get your financial life in order. One of the most heartbreaking things for me as being an investigator, and the first thing I'm going to talk about this example of elders fraud. But a scammer is a person who will use any means to separate you from your money. And one of the things that is the pros and cons of technology, especially the invent of AI, there are so many scams that you can't really keep up with them. But if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is too good to be true. And scammers are looking for any ways to separate you from your money. So the best thing you can do is do your due diligence. Now, I want to tell you a short story that was in the Wall Street Journal, as well as in the Washington Post. It was a 80-year-old retiree who had a master's degree in social work and sociology. She received a call from an quote fraudster who impersonated a federal agent. Now, I'm not sure if the agent was from the DEA, FBI, or IRS, but it didn't go into details because it still is really a current investigation. So they called this lady and told her that her money that she had in her bank was need to be liquidated and converted over to either cryptocurrency or gold. So you have to put yourself in a 80-year-old person's shoes. Now, when you do that, you have to see things from a 80-year-old eyes, which means that if somebody from the federal government called you or contacted you, you would believe them. See, we have to keep a check on our elderly relatives, uncles, grandparents, even parents, to make sure that they are not being scammed. So, and also, if you think about the lifespan of the 80-year-old person, is that they grew up during the Depression. So basically, they were actually good savers, and they believe anything that came from the government. If it's a government official said it, it must be true. If it was on television, it must be true. Of course, we know that we get so much unfiltered news, so much information that has not been vetted, and we must do our own due diligence. But here's what the deal was: this person impersonating the government called this lady, told her that the money that she had in her account was subject to be lost, that she needs to go and get her money out, which happened to be $40,000, and go to after going to the bank, she went to get a crypto machine and transfer the money over into crypto, and actually gave them the QR code to the fraudsters. Now, here's how this thing works. Now, these fraudsters can be from either some of the third world countries, or they could be from North Korea, China, Iran, etc. But they have boiler rooms set up, and they have on the dark web, they are able to get and purchase telephone numbers, and sometimes social security number, PIN codes, etc. But what they actually, to activate all those things, they need a willing victim. So this person, over international called a contact that was in Maryland for the pickup man. So while this victim, this young lady, I call her young lady, she was 80 years old, was on the phone, they were actually giving her directions of what she needed to do. It was almost like a suspense drama movie, which you got to realize that she was getting a adrenaline rush. At the same time, felt that this was one of the things that she could save her money. And one of the things that these fraudsters and schemers do, they build a relationship over time to be a trustworthy person. Most of our elderly people and people who are looking for romance, don't have to be elderly, are subject to be scammed and be a victim of fraudsters. One of the things that you can also help in this way, and I'm making this story maybe longer because I'm trying to provide some principles. If you have some elderly relatives, they need personal contact. They need somebody to talk to. They need somebody to, that they feel secure with, and they need somebody to continuously check on them. This fraud and schemes only work because they want to keep you in isolation, that they are your friend. They are your confidant. They are your romantic interest. Though this is the only way these schemers has actually can get away with this. Now, as she was on the phone going to the bank, and one of the things that they are doing, most bank employees are trying to identify when an elderly person withdraw a large amount of money, to ask them questions to make sure that this money that they are withdrawing are legitimate. And that is another way that we can, stop this these types of incidents from happening. But it is her money, so if she's adamant about making the withdrawal, there's nothing really they can do about it. So they were giving her, once she get the money, that she will go to a grocery store, and this happened to be a giant grocery store. She will see a man with a blue Honda, and when you see the man in the blue Honda in the parking lot, you go to his passenger door, give him the package. He would accept the package, and then you would go home, and basically that would be the end of the rendezvous. Unless they tell you basically go to a crypto current ATM, deposit the money, and send them the QR code. The reason why they are on the phone, because they don't want any interference or any type of I guess situation that would distract you and makes you actually, maybe come to your senses, so to speak. But once they transfer your cash into cryptocurrency, it's very difficult for investigators to actually find and locate where your money is. The only way that this actually, I would say, the pickup man was identified, because the surveillance cameras that was at the bank, the surveillance cameras that was at the grocery store, basically they got the description, et cetera, and they were able to follow up on this individual, which means that, but the money was gone. The pickup guy was eventually arrested, but what they found, that basically he has had victims from Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and New York. This was his job, because for this particular target or victim, he received $7,000 out of that 50,000. I mean, the $40,000. So what I'm sharing with you is that you could be highly educated and still be a victim of fraud. Now, there are so many different types of frauds out there. And I just gave you a quick synopsis of how an elderly person can be frauded. Now, and I can give you a situation that almost happened to me, but of course I was on alert. A couple of years ago, I was working overseas and I was in and out of the country. And my wife received an email while I was back home saying that basically I was stuck in Germany and I needed cash because I had lost my passport and I needed to send this person, I think it was like $1,500 or some money that they were going to help me get my passport back. And since I was stuck in customs, I wouldn't be able to contact. Now, here's the thing about it is that since I did do international travel, that was a viable situation that my family could have been a victim because I was in and out of the country. So if I was away or they thought I was in transit trying to get back, that would have been a viable way for them to actually execute that plan. That, of course, that didn't happen, but that was a good idea of how these scams happen. Speaking of elderly, they're called grandparent scams. And this is a scam like if you know you had a child, let's say that he was going to school at NYU, and you receive a call saying that your granddaughter was in an accident and she was in the hospital and she can't communicate with you, but she needed $5,000 because she actually hit this person. And the person said that basically they're not going to file charges if we make this transaction. Believe it or not, if you don't double check and if you don't have good communications with the parent or with the grandchild, and you know the grandchild was in New York at that time, and if your emotions and the panicking of the situation, if you could put yourself in that position, you could see how that can be make you jump to action. Because basically what they use that, hey, you got to do it right now. You know, time is at the essence. They try to make it an emergency. It's a financial emergency as well as a medical emergency, and we need to act on it right now. Now, there's called adoption. A lot of people try to adopt, especially trying to make the adoption out of the country, and a lot of people get caught up with. Some people are unethical adoption agencies, and you're trying to adopt a child in the Philippines or even in Africa. There's a lot of State Department, a whole lot of things. People need to get involved with that and actually make that happen. So you could be defrauded in the process. Now, I know you heard of the advanced money schemes, the Ponzi schemes, the telemarketer fraud, et cetera, et cetera. If a situation looks too good to be true, then you must be able to make that cognitive decision. The Ponzi schemes and the pyramid schemes are basically, if I say that basically I can get you, let's say 20% of your money within the next 60 days, you might want to double check that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what's going on in the news right now, which means the charities and the disaster fraud. Let's take a break. Welcome back. We're talking about schemes and scams and et cetera, and how people trying to separate you from your money. Now, I know over the past week, we have seen the storms that hit Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. We've seen all the agencies that are helping. We've seen some of the people who are trapped, roads being wiped out, bridges being destroyed, houses, homes full of mud. We've seen all these pictures of people saying that, hey, the roads are so bad you can't get to me, et cetera, et cetera. So every time we have a natural disaster or any type of disaster, the next thing you hear about is some of the people asking for money. A lot of scammers are, whether they are hiking up the rebuilding material, hiking up the water costs, hiking up the, material, labor, etc. Even though the government tried to abate as much as that as possible, but it still happened. And, the Red Cross is probably the biggest disaster relief agency that I know of. But there are others. But there are scammers out there also, sending you emails. We see the crowd fund profile. You might even get a call from somebody saying that they are collecting for the disaster relief funds. All these things, and you might have people in that area that you might want to help. And my only suggestion is do your due diligence to make sure the money is going to where you want it to go. There are so many different type of scams that we are, I guess, bombarded with. But here are some things that you have to protect in order for you not to get scammed. Scammers want your bank account information. Do not provide your bank account information. Here's the best way that I can really suggest that. If you get any type of email or phone call or social media that you did not initiate it, I would be very, very reluctant with that. Do not give your social security information, your PIN codes, your account number. Those things you really, really have to hold dear and close to your heart. And the thing about it is that when you give this person any of that piece of information, they will be able to lock in and take over your accounts, and then basically you will not be able to even ascertain that. Now, the romance schemes is pretty much, all these schemes are pretty much the same. They try to befriend you, and if somebody is asking you for, your personal or your relational information more than basically they are, given to you, if the only time you meet this person is online, and basically you can't meet at a at a Starbucks or at the mall or some safe place, it's always an excuse why they can't meet you in person. Matter of fact, MTV got this whole show been on for years called Catfish, regarding people scamming and not being who they say they are. And one of the clues is basically they're asking you for more information about you than they're giving them about themselves, and they can't meet you. And the big red flag is they want to start asking you for money. That is a big red flag. And what it basically, to me, I can't even get past that. A social, network that you can actually, live and facilitate. because basically if you don't, you'll find yourself more susceptible to that situation than not. So now I know the the one of the things that help scammers is that they know that if you find out that you've been scammed, whether financially or romantically, they know that basically you're going to be shamed. 99% of the people who have been scammed don't come forward because they said, I should have known better. This was too good to be true. How did I let him or her trick me into this? So if you have been scammed, the first thing you need to do is call and report it immediately to your bank and your credit card company. Next, I will call the local police, and if it's over a certain dollar amount, you might need to get the federal, the FBI, or IRS, or any Treasury Department involved in that. So basically, the thing about it is, if it happened to you, I'm quite sure that it has happened to someone else. And one of the things that I want you to be clear on, we are talking about not a local and not a state. We're not even talking about a countrywide. We're talking about an international range of people who do this day in and day out. And matter of fact, about a month ago, 60 Minutes went undercover and they interviewed some of these people at some of these what I call boiler rooms, where this just a warehouse that is full of telephones, and they have a script that they go by, and they call people all 24/7 days a week to find victims. And believe it or not, these people in these foreign countries are making millions and millions of dollars being able to do this. So number one, you're going to call and report to your bank, your credit card company, and law enforcement. Number two, you're going to contact one of the three or all of the reporting credit bureaus, which mean basically Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. Make sure that you contact them, and basically you put a fraud alert on your account. So basically this person won't be having your identity and prevent identity theft. Number three, what you want to do, you want to update your password and verify your personal information. Now, I know it's a pain in the butt, but sometimes you have to do a two-factor authentications to log into your account. I know it takes you longer to do that, but that is a way that you can actually prevent that. And what you need to do is set up real-time notification, which means basically if you are shopping at Nordstrom's, it would immediately be on your phone saying that, hey, you spent $90 at Nordstrom's, and basically you can verify that. So be on the lookout. Do not accept texts, because they use a text now, that that basically if you didn't make a payment by PayPal, and that, or you have a PayPal account, and you didn't do any transaction, and it pops up that hey, that you need to verify something on that, you may need to call PayPal or directly. So that was just really one of the examples. If you know that there's some transaction that you didn't do, it's best to always, each month to review your bank statement. So basically you will be in touch with all your transaction. So the second part, and I got a couple of minutes, how do you get your financial life in order? First thing you need to do, this is whether you think you've been scammed or not. This is something that everybody should do. You need to check your credit report. And that should got to be the first thing you do. Check your credit report, because it might be new information on there that doesn't pertain to you. It might be some names, even your middle initials or middle name could be adopted on your credit report that you have to look out for, and all these old addresses and stuff, and anything that that's more than 7 years that is a discrepancy on your report, you can ask those things to be removed. And if something do happen, fraud, freeze your credit. That way you can just shut things down until you do your due diligence and your investigation with your banking and your credit card and any other financial transaction you should be making. One of the things you should always have in mind is that you should calculate your net worth, which means that basically you should know what your assets and liabilities are. So if something erroneous is on your report, you'll be able to, address that immediately and say, hey, I don't know anything about this Rolls Royce being purchased in LA. If my engineer might have that problem, but, you might want to make sure you check your net worth. Know your retirement plan. I've been very bullish about the 401k plan, but that's something that you need to make sure is the correct contributions are being made, and the distribution to what type of account. I strongly recommend a time date account, which means basically if you're within your first 10 to 15 years, you go aggressive, then shift down to medium, and then shift down to more conservative as you get ready to exit from your employer. And make sure you have a good grasp on the administrative fees that is pertaining to your account. Believe it or not, that 0.03 to 1% over your life or your career adds up very, very quickly. And my joke is that basically, you might just be paying the mortgage on your house, but you're paying the mortgage on somebody's summer house if you don't keep that in mind. And you might need to start setting up your Social Security account online. So basically you can keep track on how that is flowing. And, it was a time when they said that basically you should wait to 65 or 70 to start receiving your Social Security. I counter that. I think at 62, as soon as you are able to do that, you should actually start receiving for various reasons. One being that basically they still haven't figured out how to do it past 35. That's the government, even though there have been matrix that been designed how to even counteract that. So if you're going to take it early, make sure you are investing that into your future. And that's what would be my suggestion. And also create your IRS online account. And that way, because now, matter of fact, I'm not sure if Virginia is going to be a direct filing state, but they're opening that up to a direct filing state. Cancel unnecessary services. That's from the Hulu to YouTube to all this Prime and all this other stuff. Make sure you cancel. And identify and prioritize your financial goals. And basically, that is what you need to do to get your financial life in order. I know I went over a lot of information, but what I want to really leave in is that if you have elderly people that you know that they need some assistance with their finances, they need, they need companionship, make sure you reach out to them, because that's how scammers get in, because they start trying to befriend our people and actually rip them off. I had fun. It's been a beautiful time with you. My time is up, and I thank you for yours. See you next time.